Alright, as the title implies, I'm doing a Gulf Coast spin to a very old appetizer. I'm talking about shrimp cocktail. Gonna put our own Gulf Coast influence into this. It's gonna be good. I'm gonna start by doing a cocktail sauce. Now this cocktail sauce is not quite like your other cocktail sauce. It actually hails from Rockport, Texas, and it's right on the Gulf of Mexico. The shrimp that I'm using come from Mississippi waters, just south of me right here where I'm standing. That's in the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf Coast. And most of the mixes that I'm using, they hail from Louisiana, putting that Cajun vibe to it, and that's going to be your main differences. And I'll have other differences as we go along. I'll be showing you that, but let's get started with this sauce. And what I'm using, look at this old card here. Let me tell you a little story about that real quick. That is a card that I picked up. I think it was called Del Champ's grocery store we used to have around here. And you go into their deli section, the seafood section, and they had a rack with all these little cards in there. And this is like 30 years ago. And I've hung on to this all these years, but on the back side it has a recipe for the Rockport red sauce, they call it, and it's a cocktail sauce. That's really all it is, but it's got a few, or really one difference, and I'll show you that when I get into it. All right, now I'm doubling this recipe. 2 cups of ketchup. This recipe actually calls for 1 tablespoon of prepared horseradish, and I did a little researching on this same sauce, and all of them that I've seen said add 2 tablespoons. Now this is very good with 1 tablespoon. 2 tablespoons is just going to elevate it, and I honestly think it needs it. If you don't want that much horseradish, they don't put that much in there. And I was looking for horseradish root. I was going to actually take a food processor and make my own. And this is fresh. This comes from the refrigerated section in your grocery store. The only thing it has added is a little bit of water, a little bit of salt, a little bit of vinegar, and it's got a shelf life of like 4 weeks refrigerated. So it is fresh. And if you can't find a root, then go with this. We're just gonna put that in the mix. Something else a lot of stores sell, and it's not refrigerated, it's called horseradish sauce. That is not the same thing. That actually has eggs and dairy in it. You want to get the real fresh horseradish if possible. All right, now I've got, let's see, this is a juice of, well, it's actually 6 tablespoons of lemon juice that I just squeezed. You want to use fresh always. All right, the recipe calls for a 1/2 teaspoon, but I got 1 teaspoon. This is Tabasco sauce going in. Now here's the main difference. It doesn't have Worcestershire sauce in it. Instead it has celery salt and not regular salt. And it really adds a nice element to this sauce. The reason I'm making this first is you want it very cold. I'm gonna mix this up well, gonna pop it in the fridge, then we'll get other things going. I've got 3 pounds of fresh brown Gulf shrimp. I bought these yesterday. We've had them on ice overnight. I would typically buy them the same day I'm cooking them, but this store is not open on Sundays. And I could have probably got them elsewhere on a Sunday, but that's all right. They still look really good. So I'm just gonna leave these in the ice, and I'm gonna show you real quick what I'm gonna do to these. They will be boiled with the heads on. They're gonna be boiled with the shells on, because that adds a lot of flavor during the cooking process. And I'll explain later about how they're normally served, but we'll get to that. All right, let me just show you a little trick here that I just learned. I have been cooking and eating shrimp all of my life, and I've never seen this before until yesterday. My wife said she's seen it on a Facebook video. I looked for it on YouTube, and lo and behold. So let's just see if it works. So basically you take your shrimp just like this, and they always have a vein that runs right down their back. So go right up under the vein there, you pull up, and there it is. Look at that. Pulls it right out. You don't have to remove the shell or anything, and you got your vein. So I'm gonna go through these, and I'm gonna get all these to veins. It's not gonna take long, and we'll be ready to cook. It is time to do these shrimp, and this is definitely a Gulf Coast style. So here we go. I've got 1.5 gallons of water in this, so I've got 1.5 cups This is a crab boil that was made in Louisiana. Just use your favorite. Right now into that, I'm going to add 4 ounces of a liquid concentrate crab boil. It's called crab boil, even though we're not doing crabs. That's what we use on our crawfish. That's what we use on our shrimp. Okay, that's where most of the flavor is coming from, but we're not done yet. Now the lemons that I squeezed earlier, for that lemon juice, I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze the pulp and the rind in there for some more added lemon flavor. That was only 2 lemons, believe it or not. They were really big. Now I've got 4 bay leaves going in. I'm so used to using these extremely big 120 quart pots, and we're looking at 1.5 gallons here. All right, now I always really like throwing one of these flow through pouches in there as well. So I'm just gonna let this go for around 5 minutes. Once it returns back to a boil, that's just to get the flavors melding together and get those powders dissolved. Put our lid on. All right, so I have actually been going more like 15 minutes. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna remove this basket, and I'm gonna dump the contents of this because we're done with it. All the flavor is in that water. So I'm just going to move this over to the sink to let it finish draining. We're still on high heat. It's boiling a little bit. That's all we need. And with the shrimp, we're going to kill the fire. So in 5 minutes, I'm going to check the temperature of this water. The shrimp should be fully cooked in 5 minutes. And then after that, we can just leave them in this. It's not going to hurt them. And matter of fact, what you can do is just let them cool completely down. You can take this, put it in the fridge overnight. You can serve this the following night. Just leave them in this solution. This is a really good way to get that full flavor, but we're only going to soak for like 25-30 minutes like I normally do on the outside boils. But this is how we're cooling it off. We're letting the shrimp cool it off when they went in. Hey Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes.
Okay. Your timer is set for 5 minutes.
Yep, there we go. All right, we're gonna kill that timer. It's been 5 minutes. Let's go over here and get a temperature check on this water. That is 152. 152, that's close enough. It's still steaming a little bit, but if they're cooking, they're barely cooking. Matter of fact, there's one right there. That's exactly what you're wanting. You're wanting that C shape on your shrimp. You don't want them closed up real tight. That means they have drawed up and they are tight and they're actually overcooked, which can make them harder to peel and give them more of a rubbery texture, you know, rubbery mouthfeel. So that's perfect. We nailed it. And the whole trick to that is before you add these shrimp in, make sure you got them ice cold. Put them in your refrigerator, put them in the freezer, whatever you got to do to get them very cold. I had ice under those in a bucket, and that kept them cold. So worked out great. We're just going to allow them to sit there and soak for about another 20 minutes just to suck up that flavor. This is a Gulf Coast version of this. So instead of the traditional martini glasses that you've seen that they're synonymous for with shrimp cocktail, I've decided to go with a big old margarita glass. That's also like Cancun, Mexico. That's on the Gulf Coast as well, on the south end of it. So I've got this, and I'm going to take a lemon, and we're just going to rub the edge of this lemon here, just like you would do with a margarita. So with a margarita they use lime. That's really the only difference. You want to get that good and wet. And what I have right here is Bad Juju by PS Seasoning. This is a Cajun seasoning. So we're just going to turn our glass over, and we're just going to get a good coat on that. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Now we're going in with some crushed ice, some snow. We're going to take another little container here and place it right down in this ice. Now we're going to take this fantastic Rockport cocktail sauce. That stuff is killer. Just gonna spoon that into the center. All right, so now I've got some fresh parsley, and I do mean fresh. I have a plant right here beside me. We're gonna add a little garnish right in the middle. Take us a little lemon, hook it to the edge. All right, now I'm just gonna take and lay some of these shrimp right on the rim. We're gonna work it all the way around. So the whiskers hanging there, you can take scissors, cut them off if you don't want it. Typically, a shrimp cocktail has it already peeled, had the heads off. We live down here in bull shrimp country, and believe me, we cook them with the heads on and shells on, and that helps hold that moisture and that tenderness into that shrimp without it drying out, if you know what I'm saying. So anyway, I'm getting ready to try one of these. I'm gonna try this cocktail sauce. I already know it's gonna be fantastic, but gotta do it for the video, right? Be right back. First, I want to thank Brown Water Banter for this very cool hat. Brown Water Banter is a local podcast. You can find them on Facebook. And I met one of the guys here a couple weeks ago at a local butcher shop, and he gave me this really cool hat, and I just want to thank him. Thank you so much. All right. Also, I'd like to thank PS Seasonings, and they have some awesome seasonings. This Bad Juju I have used in quite a few things already, and this is no exception. So let's do a taste test. All right, I'm gonna pull one of these shrimp off of here, and we're gonna remove the head. We're gonna remove the peeling. So here we go. Let's dip it into this Roquefort sauce. Try them out. Cannot get enough of that flavor. That amount of horseradish and this Roquefort sauce, man, you can just feel it opening up your sinuses. It's not hot like a hot pepper sauce. It's just a certain sensation that you either love it or you hate it. A lot of people love it. Love that experience. Well, look, easy appetizer. Hope y'all give this a try, and hope you try the Gulf Coast style. It's really good. It's kicked up a few notches from what you probably had in the past. What I would highly recommend is do not buy the ones in the grocery store that's in the plastic containers that's already ready to go. Those things are not even close to using fresh shrimp and making your own sauce. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Until next time, I'm Russ Jones with Smoky Ribs Barbecue.